my review of the 2009 reboot of Star Trek, directed and produced by J.J. Abrams. So, 7 years after Nemesis, Star Trek was rebooted. So, let's get right down to it. So, Star Trek 2009. The basic plot of Star Trek 2009 is that, first of all, we open with a flashback where a Romulan spaceship is attacking the Enterprise, where Captain George Kirk is, becomes the captain, and then, his wife is in labour, gives birth to Jim, and the ship gets sent to Earth, he dies, and then years later we see Kirk, who joins Starfleet and tries to live up to his father's legacy, but a Romulan named Nero is out for revenge. His planet and people were destroyed by, the Vulcans, and he wants to get his revenge by shitting all over Kirk's legacy and also destroying Vulcan. So, I think that's pretty much it for 2009 Star Trek film. So, before J.J. Abrams got to direct Star Wars, he directed Star Trek and its sequel. So, how is the Star Trek reboot of 2009? In my opinion, I think this is a great film. Finally, something positive to say after all this time. Yes. First of all, I have to say, it's great. It's pretty much feels like what the Next Generation movies should have been. Like, essentially what they're going for here is a fun action-adventure sci-fi romp, and that's what it is. This movie is paced like a bullet train. Literally, the pacing is so sharp. You won't even know that 2 hours has gone by. I mean, wow. The pacing is phenomenal. It's really quite something. I mean, J.J. Abrams does a great job here at pacing this film. It's edited like a steam train, it moves, just constant action. I mean, as the review on the back says, spectacular action, and that is very much what this movie is. It's spectacular action romp, and that's fantastic. But, of course, having said that, they do make time for the other characters. I mean, we're moving away from the Next Generation crew now. We're back to the original crew, but with a new cast. I think Chris Pine, even though he's kind of a pretty boy, he's actually quite a good Kirk. I actually quite like him in the film. I thought he was rather good. He gave a great, solid performance. Zachary Quinto is an excellent Spock. I mean, he's very good, even though it is, I suppose, a kind of impression, a younger Leonard Nimoy, but it works, and he looks like him so much. It's fantastic to really see the guy. I mean, the guy is fantastic in the movie, and he's great in Into Darkness as well, and I'm sure he'll be great in Star Trek Beyond. I mean, he's brilliant, and I like Spock's story in this, how, he becomes emotionally compromised, and how they're trying to spark more of the emotional core out of Spock. I know some fans probably wouldn't like that, but I don't mind it. I think it works. It's his emotional storyline, and how he was raised, and how he gets into Starfleet, and how he forms his friendship with Kirk. And this movie is essentially about the relationship between Kirk and Spock, and that's what works very well about it. Their dynamic is a fantastic on-screen chemistry, and I mean, it's obviously very different to Shatner and Nimoy in the earlier films, but I still think the chemistry is strong here between Pine and Quinto. They're both fantastic. You've also got the others, like in the supporting roles. You've got Anton Yelchin, R.I.P. as Chekhov. I just want to say, Anton Yelchin, it's such a shame what happened to him, man. I mean, he was great. I mean, he's a great Chekhov. I love him in this film. I think he's fantastic, and he's great in Into Darkness. And it's sad to know that Star Trek Beyond is his last, not only his last performance as Chekhov, but his last performance ever. So that's very sad. I hope they dedicate it to him. They will have to recast Chekhov, unfortunately, but unfortunately that's the way life is. It's very sad that he's gone, but his performance here is fantastic. He's very good. You've also got Simon Pegg, who's Scotty. I don't think he's in the film very much, but when he's there, he's very funny. He's in Into Darkness a bit more, so that's good. They give him more to do. That was my only. I only have a couple of criticisms of this film, that Scotty isn't really used enough, is my opinion. And Zoe Saldana as Uhura, she's great. She's good, even though she's pretty much there just to be eye candy. But hey, I'm not complaining. And I like what they did with Kirk's character in this film, where they made him much more of a rebel. I mean, in the wild, in the bad boy kind of sense of the word, because Shatner, the way he played Kirk was in the rebellious sense, but only in the sense that he didn't give a fuck about anyone else. He'll do what the fuck he wants, and he will literally do it. He won't care about regulations or anything. This is kind of like that, but a bit more, because Kirk is younger in this film, and he's sort of like drinking, trying to, sleeping with women and stuff. He's a bit of a sleaze, and he's a bit of an alcoholic, and it's kind of interesting to see that. So that's good. Also, the comedy of this film is good. I like the comedy very much. I think J.J. Abrams and the writers added a lot of nice comedy, and it's not too oversaturated, which is good. It's just the right amount for a Star Trek film, because you don't want to have things be too serious now, do we? I will say the weak link of the cast is definitely Eric Bana as Nero. I like his backstory, I guess, but he was just a very underdeveloped character. He was barely in the film, and when he was there, he talked like this. He was Nero, no. Like, he was like basically just this tough guy. Like, that was it. And with a tattoo, he wasn't really threatening enough to me. And I laughed at the bit when he goes, "Fire everything!" I find that hilarious. Oh dear. I mean, we do have some absolutely brilliant action sequences. The opening action sequence is very powerful, I have to say. Great way to start the movie when you have Chris Hemsworth as George Kirk. When he dies, that's very sad, and when Kirk is born, when Jim Kirk is born, that's quite sad. The scene when Kirk and Sulu are on the massive Romulan sort of drill fighting, that's amazing, and the finale is just epic. You can tell that J.J. Abrams was definitely inspired by Star Wars. There's definitely that kind of Star Wars dogfight aspect to this film. But it works, I think it works. And also the inclusion of Leonard Nimoy was great. And, much more apparent after watching the Next Generation films. It's definitely an inclusion that is noteworthy, rather than, at least they didn't bring any of the TNG crew back. Oh, God. But, well, I wouldn't mind a Patrick Stewart, but not straight away. Not for this film. Patrick Stewart's had his time as Picard. I like the scene when Leonard Nimoy talks to Kirk. That's great. There's some great character dynamics. As I said, there's some great humour. I think this is probably the best CGI that we've seen in a Star Trek movie for a while. I think Star Trek Beyond might top that, actually. But the new films definitely have a lot. The effects are much better. They've spent the budget, and they've definitely. It looks expensive. I mean, damn. I mean, a movie called Star Trek, and the camera movement is so fluid. One thing I will say about J.J. Abrams, I mean, he's not the greatest director in the world. I mean, he's good. He's very good when he can be. But I think, crucially, he's better at telling the story visually rather than dramatically in the script, although the script here is very good. But for me, the camera movement is fantastic, the way it kind of constantly sweeps in and around. It's always moving, so that you always feel like you're on the Enterprise, you're there, you're following the characters on this journey, and when the action's happening, you feel something like the way things just, like all the fast lasers, it's just so fast, everything's moving so fast, and that's what's great about it. It's exciting as well as dramatic. I mean, you have like I said, the opening scene was just quite emotional, and also when Spock is emotionally compromised, I thought that was a great scene. That was a very emotional scene. I feel that the movie could have pushed itself just a bit further, because I feel like the emotional plots never really escalated after that opening scene. You have obviously the Spock breaking down scene, that was great, but I think because this movie's trying to set up everything, it's trying to bring the crew together and everything, it's trying to do a lot, so I can't really fault it for that, I suppose. As I say, is it the best Star Trek film? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I mean, it's really good. I just think that, yeah, the villain is a bit crap. The production design's good. The cast are great. Overall, it's a ton of fun. It's fantastic fun, and I really enjoyed it. And it's great to sort of see the backstory and see the new cast work really well together. I think they are all great. And as for J.J. Abrams, his direction's good. I like his direction. He definitely keeps you in the scene, you know, he keeps you in the moment. You never lose interest. There's never a dull moment with this movie. You can have a huge amount of fun with Star Trek. And it looks visually stunning, and the cinematography is fantastic. The only thing I will say is, J.J., cut down on the lens flares, please. It's super distracting when you see it in every shot. I think they had less of it in Into Darkness, but, well, yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll have as much of it in Beyond. Well, hopefully not anyway, because it will just detract from the experience. It does take you out, it does annoy you slightly. It's like every shot you see a flash of lens, you know, the lens flares, you know, the flash of light. It's like, for fuck's sake, J.J. Abrams, just stop it, just stop it. But that being said, it's a really good movie. It's quite sad when Vulcan is destroyed. That's quite a sad scene. It's thrilling action, fantastic. It looks fantastic visually. Villain's crap. Script is good. Script is much better than any of the TNG films. Overall, it's, I think, what the Next Generation films strive to be. I think what it's a shame. It doesn't feel like it's an original Star Trek film. I mean, I know it's trying to kind of reinvent the Star Trek formula. It's more of an action film, which, in this instance, it works. But I suppose for the actual fans, it would have been nice for them to have something more like the original films, like more of the exploratory sort of aspects of space, you know, exploring the space and everything it has to offer. This kind of has that, but not much. It's more action driven, but, you know, I think it works. It works. It's great. It's great. So I'm gonna score Star Trek an 8 out of 10. It's a well-deserved 8 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, I'd watch it. Definitely watch it before Star Trek Beyond comes out. It's great fun. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So, that's pretty much all I have to say about Star Trek, the reboot. Tune in next time when I review the sequel to this film, Star Trek Into Darkness, which came out in 2013, which is also directed by J.J. Abrams. So, yeah. Until then, Star Trek fans, thank you all for watching. I'm Mr. Thomas11, and see ya.